The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Your professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition. Call today 1-800-303-3960, 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard at MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, over 25 podcasts. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful musician who lives in the UK, a music pro with all kinds of famous musicians, and he's got some great music out there, including Stand for the Heroes, Whiskey and Honey, and more. And of course, he's got his own music label, Kusha Deep Music Unlimited, and he goes deep into his music and going from Ireland to UK, and he's just been all over the place, just making a statement, helping people, and getting through the pandemic. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, from the beautiful UK in the Plus Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, Dar Ra. Dar Ra, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. We kind of got there. I got the timing slightly wrong because I didn't realise there was 6 hours and I kind of counted 5. So I was here. I was waiting early, man, with bated breath. But it's all good. We're here now.
Well, you know something too. It's also good that you got acclimated, had some coffee, and I'm about to have some with you, too. And I've always talked to some great people like you from the other side of the pond and what it's like. I have to visit the other side of the pond one day, and feel free to come to America as soon as the pandemic is over. If you have to fly, feel free to do so. So it's great.
I'm totally down with that, man.
It's great to have you on as well, too. So you got a couple of EPs called Stand for the Heroes, Whiskey and Honey, and you have also been in the music business for quite some time. You're back with a big beat, and you've been on Electro 24 Radio, Global Drop, City Beats, and I mean, you're just like an amazing person to be on, and you've had just limited experience and widely known in the UK as well, too. And before we get to all that, tell us how you first got started.
Well, I mean, you know, I think most musicians will start kind of like early on, as soon as they come out of the womb. I think kind of most musicians kind of are banging and tapping and singing and dancing at some very early stages. So again, it's no different for me. My mum was a musician, and she was a piano in the house, so she was always kind of like playing that boogie woogie, man. And she taught me a little bit of 12 bar. And it just went from there. And, you know, I didn't really, if I'm honest with you, I didn't really get on that well at school. I just kind of, and sort of drifted around a little bit after I left school at 16 and then just got into a band and went on, and luckily, you know, got into a band that was touring and was lucky enough to kind of go on a road and sort of be able to make a bit of a living and learn certainly about the live kind of trade. And then eventually I moved up to London from a place called Brighton and met a guy, and we made a couple of tracks and we got signed to EMI. And then that's where everything really, really changed for me. And I was working with some incredible people who, you know, really, really taught me the trade of how to kind of conduct yourself in a studio and how to produce music. So I was very lucky and had a few hits in the 90s and toured, lived out in Australia for a while, you know, worked for some of their top labels, Festival, Warner's out there as well, remixed Tears for Fears and Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And then, you know, came back to England sort of in the noughties, set up Krisha Deep Music, and I've been putting out records and EPs and albums really sort of on that label, just building up the catalogue for that label since 2005. And here we are, sort of, you know, I'm you know, still banging those tunes out. And as you just quite rightly mentioned, there's 2 EPs out at the moment. One called Stand Up for the Heroes, which is about a big tribute to all the key workers who have been really holding the fort throughout this kind of pandemic situation. And I just felt that we needed to give them more than just applause. I felt they needed an anthem and a song that we could all sing. And Stand Up for the Heroes, you know, it's been really well received. You know, it's been raising money for our health services over here. And you know, as I say, I'm pretty proud of the way it's kind of gone. And the other EP that's just come out is called Whiskey and Honey, and that's got 3 really killer tunes on there as well. And is also sort of doing well, really getting some good response on radio. And I'm literally in the studio now just recording the next single, which is called Rise Like the Sun. And I'm really stoked because most of the stuff you've heard really is quite... I kind of messed about with genres quite a bit. So I've created what I feel is a kind of a genre called rock step, which was kind of using rock and EDM as a merging platform and creating kind of like that mixture between rock and dance music and that heavy duty bottom end production. So I've done that, and now I'm sort of moving in different directions. We've done tracks which I would call gothic soul music, and now I'm kind of moving into this. Yeah, I'm moving into this vibe called. You know, I'm just actually this track is quite a Latin rock kind of vibe. I've got a great horn guy that's just done the horns from Portugal. I've had a drummer from Italy play the drums on it. And I've just been, building the track up and in the studio here. And it's just belting. It's a real uplifting track. I hope that, you know, because we're coming out, you know, hopefully going to come out of this situation very soon. And I just wanted to give people something positive to lift the spirits and just, you know, hope there's a better tomorrow out of all this. Do you know what I mean? That we all learn something from the whole experience and kind of move forward in a much more united, positive fashion. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly, yeah. And of course, you have this unique genre you came up with, rock step and also gothic soul as well, too. Who are some of your favorite artists and musicians and guitarists growing up? Who are some of your favorites?
You know, they're all going to be the usual suspects. You know, we're talking sort of obviously well into Jimi Hendrix, you know, Jimmy Page, those kind of cats, I suppose, were really, you know. But, you know, a huge one for me was Prince. You know, I just absolutely adored Prince when I was at school. And, you know, I've really just got a lot of inspiration. I saw him as the absolute, you know, complete kind of artist who ran his own company, you know, could play everything, produce, write, you know, there was nothing Prince couldn't do. So, and just one of the most amazing guitarists as well. I mean, I think, you know, Clapton, when they said Clapton, what, you know, to Eric Clapton, what, you know, what's it like being the greatest guitarist in the world? He said, I don't know, ask Prince, you know what I mean? So, you know, he was the dude for me, do you know what I'm saying? And I obviously was so totally shocked when he passed away at quite, you know, I think it's still a very early age, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, they'd be the dudes, you know, I mean, the classic kind of rock and roll from the 60s and 70s, you know, obviously the Beatles, the Stones, the Small Faces, the Byrds, you know, James Brown, Otis Redding, all the stacks, kind of Motown kind of flavors, Northern Soul, which we call Northern Soul over here. All that kind of vibe mixed with just, but then coming in, into the business kind of professionally in the 90s, house music was big over here. So, I've got across the board kind of flavors from sort of classic kind of stuff to sort of more modern sort of hip hop and rap and a little bit of rap, and also sort of obviously the sort of the dance element, which kind of, as I say, I'm really into just mixing and merging different vibes to create something new. And, sometimes, I think it's worked. I think on this album, New Kind of Normal, man, it's worked really, really well. And people are just, they're just saying they're bangers. Those tracks are bangers. And that's good for me. I went out with a band and we did it all live first. I really tested those tracks out to make sure they were really kind of connecting with an audience, and then just ripped it up in the studio. It took me nearly a year to make that record because I was kind of like, we had Jerry Rafferty's drummer come in and some real cool guests that came in on that record. So, yeah, it was a good experience, and that one's, in the bag. It's on Spotify if people want to tune in and check it out. But also it's getting some good drops on radio. We also made some videos in America as well. We had Rocksteady, there was a video made in New York for that. We also made a video down in Atlanta, Diamonds in the Shadows. That's, as I say, an Atlanta video. I think we made a couple more, sort of one in Utah as well, I think, for Phenomenal. So, and I also had quite a lot of good support on some of the TV stations like LATV were really, really supportive. H2O in New York were really supportive. Nashville TV channels down there were really supportive. Plus, obviously, quite a lot of radio stations as well. So, I can't thank the American audience enough for the support that they've been showing me.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about the cities that have supported your music. You mentioned New York, Atlanta, and also Los Angeles, Nashville, and what percentage would you say is the most popular that you have for your music? And what are some of the other cities that you're going to be working on in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say sort of like Los Angeles is probably the kind of where if you look at the stats and stuff, that's probably the biggest kind of zone, followed by New York, I suppose. And then, building up a little bit of a vibe. I've got some good connections in Atlanta. I did a couple of acoustic shows back in the noughties in Athens, Georgia, and trekked around there. So I kind of got a really good feel for Atlanta and around that kind of neck of the woods, all the way down to Statesboro and borders of Savannah. I love that place, man, and it's just so rich in musical history. So you can never, ever run out of kind of music to listen to. I mean, Athens, Georgia is kind of synonymous with some great names. So, yeah, it's whoever's tuning in at that time. I'll play to whoever. Now, we've got an online tour coming up, literally starting tomorrow, which starts in North Carolina, and I'm literally going to be broadcasting from here into the different venues, starting in North Carolina, Nebraska, Texas, Los Angeles again, and then back to Carolina again. So, yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I've got dates literally all the way through this month into September. And it's going to be interesting because obviously you're broadcasting from your space and it's going into venues where people are listening. There's a lineup of 4 or 5 other acts. It's acoustic, but I belt it, man. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully people will get into it and will spread a bit more love. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And of course, comparing to playing live, which everyone's done for numerous decades, and now the pandemic has forced everybody to broadcast from a home studio and just doing it virtual. Do you think there's any difference when it comes to playing live versus playing from a studio? Do you get that same feeling, or do you have to adjust from your end to where you get try to capture a vibe almost like it's live? It's do you feel that? Is it easier? Is it more difficult? Or is it the same, like you're trying to do a live show from a studio compared to, say, playing live in a theater or an arena? So how do you see the pros and cons of that?
Well, firstly, that's a really good question. I think there's a counter argument for each. I think that I played just before. We went. As we were in lockdown, I actually played a gig called Rock the Lockdown. It was one of the first online kind of shows. It was like an all-day, all-weekender, and it was the first time I'd actually ever done it. And I really enjoyed it. And you know what? It's kind of, there's not much traveling involved. You literally go out of your kitchen with your drink, do you know what I mean? Head into the studio and bang, you hit it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just
magic. Hello, New York.
Yeah, you know, it's great, you know. So from that point of view, and then literally, you come off, you do your show, you're out of your studio, go back, grab another drink, sit down, and kind of chill for the rest of the night. So in that respect, it's actually really, really cool. I think this will be. I'm not too certain whether this will be how this will be, because I'm not too certain if I'll be able to see an audience or not. Do you know what I mean? Responding, I'm not too certain. If I can see an audience, then that makes it a lot easier. Obviously, you know, even if I'm playing to you and you're on your show, do you know what I mean? To see you kind of grooving along, and I know that it's working, and that's kind of cool. That's, you know, obviously there's going to be no substitute for playing live, because when you get an audience on board, there's not quite anything quite like it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's what most musicians live for, is that connection that you have with your audience. However, having said that, I'm not, I think traveling kind of like can really take it out of you as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So, to do a tour like I've just mentioned, literally from your studio, and reach different people from different states, you know what I mean? It's a buzz, you know what I'm saying? I think there's room for both. I think that when we come out of the pandemic, this will still be a big thing. I think people will still, it's less carbon footprint as well. So there's that positivity for the sort of environment. It's less kind of like, as I say, it's more friendly on the kind of on the planet, as it were. So, there's pros and cons, but hopefully we'll come out of this and the gig thing will kind of kick back in again, and we can all connect up, because I think that's what we really need. I think we really do need to come together and connect. And, the fact that we've all been separated and in our little kind of spaces, I think has created a little bit of a, divisionary kind of vibes, you know what I mean? And I think that, music is one of those things that really brings us all together under one umbrella. So, that's what I want. I just want us to kind of come back together, less partisan kind of thinking and more unity and actually kind of like thinking how we can actually work as a team, doesn't matter where you're at or what your vibe is or what your kind of, your belief system is, what I'm saying? Like, we can all find common ground and actually work as a whole to create a really beautiful space for us all to live in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, and we'll talk more about that, and we'll have you play a couple of tunes in just a minute to give a new feel to it. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with singer, musician, and multi-talented Dar Ra from Kusha Deep Music Limited label here on the Mike Wagner Show, broadcasting from the Plush Studios in the UK. And before we have you play a couple of tunes, and once again, tell us about how you got your label Kusha Deep Music Unlimited, and the story behind the name. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so Kusha Deep really was, I was looking for a label name. I came back from Australia, I think the second time in 2003, and I was in Thailand, in Bangkok, and I was just literally, I was reading up on ancient Vedic culture, as it were, and was really interested with kind of like the kind of like the whole cultural kind of like vibe that India had been sort of responsible for way back 3000 BC, yoga and meditation and all that kind of side of things that we sort of think is some sort of like something out of like, it's come out of LA, but actually what it's kind of, it is an ancient technology, you know what I'm saying? So I was really reading up on sort of how Vedic culture had spread around the world at a very early stage. It was one of the early cultures that, as I say, had really pushed forward with mathematics and medicine and the Kama Sutra. All that comes from the kind of the Vedic kind of scriptures, as it were. So I was reading this book, and these two words, Kushadeep, pops up, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So basically, the Indians at that point were trading with various different people, and Africa was one of the places that they would trade with. And when the boats landed on the shores of Africa, they would see nothing but these massive, tall green trees. So Kushadeep is basically the land of the tall green trees, as it were. Kushadeep in Sanskrit, obviously that's an English translation. So I just thought Africa being, the home of the kind of rhythm and musical vibrations that I've kind of vibed with. Do you know what I'm saying? I just felt right, Kushadeep, as a kind of like a label name to put my vibe under, and that's really what it came down to, really. Do you know what I mean? And as I say, from sort of 2.5, it's been an active label, just putting out records that I just felt were important, because the whole scope of the music industry had really changed by that point, and it was getting harder to get licensing deals. Rather than wait around for sort of labels to put stuff out for me, I just thought, I'll just get on it and do it myself. Do you know what I mean? So, and I do enjoy the process. I think when you're signed to major record labels when you're younger, it sort of kind of makes you a bit lazy, because you expect people to do stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you have your own label, it kind of like makes you go, because there isn't the budget to pay this, that, and the other. You have to do a lot of it yourself. So you're wearing a lot of different hats. But as I say, being signed to sort of EMI gave me a really good insight into how labels work, from marketing to the legal departments to the art department. So I kind of learned, and also obviously the musical side of things. So I kind of learned how things work a little bit, and I just put that into what I do, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And if people digging it, they're digging it, and I just keep going with it, and hopefully, I'm never really satisfied with anything I do, so I'm always kind of looking for the next thing that hopefully I'll make a record that I go, wow, that's I'm really, really happy with that. Do you know what I mean? But as I say, so, and I think that's what keeps me going. Do you know what I mean? Is the thought that one day you'll make a record that you just think, ooh, that's just absolutely perfection. And I'm not saying the records I haven't put out haven't been awesome. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just think that there's always that kind of like, you can always take it up a level production-wise or lyrically, or just song structures, or even now just trying to push arrangements around a little bit, so they're we're not just following the same old format. So yeah, it keeps me excited, it gets me up. I've written a couple of books as well, so that's always a kind of the tip that I could either slip back into, sort of writing another book. 2 books out. One's called Road Tales. That's about meeting amazing people on the road, from Australia to America to Central America, Guatemala, and there's 15 chapters, and every story is really about an archetype of human kind of endeavor. So yeah, it's a little book of inspiration that if you feel that you can't, read these stories about these amazing people. They're not celebs, man. They're just normal, everyday people doing amazing things that I just felt, their stories need to be told. So that's Road Tales.
And what was the other book you mentioned?
So the other one's called The Night That Jimmy Died, and that's basically based on a friend of mine who was born in the same hospital on the same night as when Jimi Hendrix died. And I just had this idea, what if their souls crossed over, and she becomes this amazing kind of rock and roll guitar player who sort of saves the music industry from mediocrity. Do you know what I mean? And she sort of kind of has this. She has a way of channeling Jimi Hendrix. So, she's constantly sort of like getting inspiration from Jimmy, and they have these amazing conversations. And as I say, she rises to sort of like the top of her game, and then sort of dismantles the industry sort of bit by bit. But she works out a way of kind of like using frequencies to change people's DNA structures. And Jimmy's just on a mission to save the world. Do you know what I mean?
And yes, and the wind still cries Mary along the
way.
watch.
And how funny, because the girl in it's called Krista, and her mum's called Mary.
Oh, that's where it came from. Wow, you learn something every day. You know what? I'd like to have you back and talk about those books as well, too. And before we have you play a couple of songs, who are some of your artists on your Kusha Deep music label?
So I've kind of worked with different people, like, you know, Rachel Brown from Faithless and Groove Armada. They're sort of like, there's a couple of tracks from her on the label. There's some cats from Australia as well. That I've worked with, that, you know, got the Gong kind of crew, who are sort of psychedelic mavericks. There's tracks from them. No one's signed per se. It's really just me working with various different other people that I like, you know, I want to work with on certain projects. You know what I'm saying? So I get a lot of different guest musicians in. Like I say, we've had like quite a lot of cool people come through on the new kind of Normal album. Some names, some just sort of supersonic kind of session cats that I just think, wow, are really good players. You know what I mean? So it's mainly projects at the moment. It's a home to Dar Ra, and Urban Harmonics, and a couple of other acts that I'm involved with, that I put records out under. So it's really just mainly just different disguises. But Dar Ra's my main tip, DAR.RA. So
and how about those from America? Who do you have from America on your label?
So at the moment, I've got. There's no one sort of on the label from the States at the moment. I'm just trying to think who the connections are. I mean, I'm friendly with bands in America. I've got a couple of cats in there's a band called the Cranberry Merchants in Atlanta, who I'm really, really friendly with. I've just done a bit of a thing for their video for their next single. You know, there's the Metal Birds from Los Angeles I'm really friendly with as well. So, you know, who knows? We might end up doing some stuff, some collabs in the future, and, you know, get that cross-Atlantic kind of vibe going on. Do you know what I mean? I did tour Australia with a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles, a girl called Krista, actually, and she was real cool, man. So, yeah, you know, we're still in contact. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to work with more American musicians. And I mean, actually, having said that, I've had a couple of American drummers on various different tracks. I think there's an American drummer on Whiskey and Honey. So yeah, I'm constantly sort of like working with. But I tell you, I've got a great filmmaker in New York, who's Brendan McGowan, who does all my kind of videos and stuff, and he's just an amazing film producer. You know, and obviously I've got PR, you know, people in America to do my PR as well, and. So yeah, well, you know, I'm constantly sort of working with American kind of vibes and doing interviews with people like yourself. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, just, you know, raising some sort of some positivity. That's my main goal.
And it sounds like, and where can people find your music at?
So all the usual suspects, you know, from Spotify to iTunes to, you know, SoundCloud. I mean, just put in DAR.RA and literally, you know, all the gamut will come up. You know, if you want to search for those titles, you can just put in my name and they'll all come up on Spotify. Yeah, so you know, you're not going to be shy, man. If you put that in, you know, you're going to get plenty of good tunes coming at you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sounds great. Okay, and we'll have you play a couple of tunes in just a minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all you need. Look at a professional website without break your own budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Check the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here at Dar Ra Brady from Kusha Deep Music Unlimited here on the Mike Wagner Show, and I know you're doing some jamming while we're trying to get some technical issues going, since Skype has obviously updated just about everything without notice. And go ahead and play one of your tunes and tell us all about it.
So I'm going to play for you this new song that I'm working on at the moment. We just got this in the studio at the moment with I'm just doing the production and getting a mix right. But this is a track called Rise Like the Sun, so it's real fresh, man. Do you know what I mean? But it will be the next single. Wanna rise like the sun, hold back, but no one rise like the sun. Shine every day of my life, and it's something to you. I'm in and out my head, trying to work it out, but I can't. I walk the city day and night to try to understand. Faces come and go, lights they blow the noise in my mind. I'm the only one that ever hears these screams inside. I've been crying out loud, trying to reach up from the gutter to the stars. Sound of the band, dance like the snow to my sorrow. If I live to tell the tale, I will kiss the dawn as it comes. Pray that I rise like the sun, rise like the sun, rise like the sun. You think you got all the time in the world, then you get born. Think you got all the time, then you get broken. I've seen a million dreams twisted and left for dead, while the devil's busy buying every one of them. I've been down in the dirt and the dust, sound of the band, and dance like the snow to my sorrow. If I live to tell the tale, I will kiss the dawn as it comes. Pray that I rise like the sun, rise like the sun, rise like the sun now. Oh, I wanna rise like the sun now. I wanna shine. I wanna live the dreams with unity, like the rich do with ease. I've been waiting on the outside, I've been looking in. I've been chasing all those places, filled this unquenchable desire. I've been down in the dirt and the dust, trying to saddle the band, dance like the snow to my sorrow. If I live to tell the tale, I will kiss the dawn as it comes. Pray that I rise like the sun, rise like the sun, rise like the sun, rise like the sun now, rise like the sun.
Nice job, Bob Brady. Rise Like the Sun on the Mike Wagner Show. Tell us more about that great song. What inspired you to write it?
Well, I just literally, it's only written about a couple of weeks ago, to be honest with you. But as I said, coming out of COVID, you know what I'm saying? And it was all very kind of down. And I felt that we just kind of needed something that was going to just lift us up a little bit. And, you know, I came up with a riff and then it just all fell into kind of place, really, to be honest with you. And then obviously because it's got that kind of Latin feel, I thought, you know, I've got to go with that whole flavour. So, you know, we've gone the full splash with the horns and you know, real kicking drums, but it's a real beat. It's a real beat, and I can't wait to get it finished and get it out to you, mate, so you can drop it to your listeners. Because I think you'll love that. If you love that, you know, that's the acoustic version, me doing a croaky old version of it. But, you know, the actual studio cut sounds, I mean, it's just sounding so mint, mate. It really is mint. So I'm excited about this one, man. Do you know what I mean? Really excited. Hopefully it's going to kick off. And as I say, I've been working pretty hard on it for the last couple of weeks, and we're nearly there. We're nearly on that mix, man. We've got that mix happening.
And once again, as soon as it's released, where can we find Rise Like the Sun?
So it will be, again, on all the usual suspects. I might put it out on Bandcamp first, let it float for a week or so, and then it will get on the general release on Spotify again, and all the usual suspects. I might well shoot a video for this as well. So, you know, who knows? We might get another little video shot in America for it. You know, somewhere down in maybe San Diego or something. Do you know what I mean? Would be cool. So yeah, you know, it's cool, man. And as I say, I just want people to be uplifted by the whole vibe, and you know, expect a few more Latin kind of hot flavored tracks from me. I think in the next couple of months, because I just think it's got a lot of warmth about it. But you know what? There's also a lot of, I mean, when I write a song, you know, it's uplifting, but there's always a sort of subliminal story within that framework. Do you know what I mean? So this is really no exception. And I think that it's kind of about, you know, it really is about kind of rising to the occasion and being kind of like being fully yourself, really, to be honest with you, and not really worrying if other people don't get you.
That's perfectly understandable. And before we have you play the last song before we go here, Stand for the Heroes, you also have Whiskey and Honey as an EP, and also Stand for the Heroes, an EP. And once again, tell us more about those EPs.
So basically Stand Up for the Heroes, as I said before, is a song that was written for the key workers, the cats that basically were holding the fort. You know, I spoke to a girl that worked in a bank today, lovely girl, and she was just saying, you know, that they were coming into work just not knowing what was coming at them. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, the people in the supermarkets, the people that were kind of, you know, cleaning rubbish, you know, all the cats that were basically out there not knowing what was coming down the line, they're the superheroes. They're absolute superheroes. Obviously, doctors, nurses, hospital porters, you know, I just felt they needed a song that said, look, thank you to the heroes. Stand up and applaud their efforts, because they're brave. They're brave people. A lot of us were just hanging out in our houses, just kind of, you know, trying to ride it out. And, you know, and a lot of people didn't see it. I mean, I did, because my girlfriend runs a care home, and you know, there was some issues there for sure. But so we kind of saw it. We saw what was happening, and it's been a real journey, as you well know, man, because we've all been through it together. There's no one on the planet that hasn't gone through it. It's not like it was just in America or in the UK. It was everywhere. So we've all got that common bond that we've been through something together, and we can share that bond. And again, coming back to, you know, we need to find what unites us rather than what divides us, you know, and so that all my music is really about bringing people together, as opposed to sort of us kind of thinking that we're all separated and different and this, that, and the other. So Stand Up for the Heroes is that vibe, and there's a couple of really cool remixes on that. There's a very cool Bangra remix of a track called The Beat, and that's really doing quite well at the moment. Funny enough, a cat down in Atlanta shot a little promo video, just as the whole thing was kind of happening with the, you know, the protests and stuff. And again, if you see that video, it's really about people. It's just set in the park in Atlanta, and it's just really just showing how people can live in unity. Do you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, and it's a positive thing. So that's the track called on the Stand Up for the Heroes. And then there's Whiskey and Honey, which has just come out, and that's got 2 remixes on it, and another track called The Lights, which is phenomenal, big tune. And so, yeah, those two, they're all out on Spotify. They're doing relatively well, and I'm just hoping that your kind of listeners are going to dig it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you just got to go and check it all out and see what you think. And then hopefully, when we're all out of this kind of melee, maybe sort of like this time next year, we can come over and play and introduce ourselves face to face. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, unify, bring the people together. That's what we want to do. Bring everyone together. You know, no division.
And that's very ideal as well, too. Once again, Dar Ra Brady of Kush Deep Music Unlimited here on the Mike Wagner Show. A big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Love you to have back on as well, too. And just a couple more things. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
That's a really good question as well. Biggest influence. I mean, there's quite a few of them. I'd say my mum, probably. You know what I mean? I think she was my biggest influence because she, you know, she was a musician. She was a nurse as well. Unfortunately, she passed over a few years ago now, unfortunately. But yeah, she was definitely there for me. She bought me a drum kit when I was 10. You know, she lent me money to get a studio when I was like 16. And there was always supportive, do you know what I'm saying? When right the way through her life, she was always there kind of listening to new stuff. And, you know, I came back from Australia and, you know, I wanted to be with my mum. I knew, you know, I just had a limited time with her. So I actually ended up setting a studio up in her house and we made an album called the Soul Hours album, which again is on Spotify. You know, and I was looking after my mum there, but you know, she never once, you know, ever said turn it down. She was just the coolest woman ever, man. Do you know what I mean? I remember doing a track called "Let Love Be Your Religion" when she was really ill, and she was lying kind of like I was trying to look after her. Obviously, I was looking after her, but it was just before she went into hospital, and I had I was doing this track actually on Soul Hours. It was called Haunted Dance Hall actually, and it had a horn section on it. And I had a horn section in the studio, and the studio was in the top of the house in a sort of bedroom. And I had a horn section come up and do these horn parts. You know what I mean? Well, my mum was still lying there, really kind of out of it, and she still didn't complain. You know what I'm saying? So she was the coolest woman ever. So I'd say she was the greatest inspiration, and she just always, you know, when I said to her, Mum, I want to be a musician, she never, you know, at the age of 17, I remember coming back from, you know, I was working in a factory and hating every minute of it, and I just came back after about a week of that and said, Mum, I'm going on tour with this band, and she never said anything to sort of go, oh no, you know, you're going to waste your life away. She was like, all right, love, you know, as long as you're happy. So, you know, that's you know, I couldn't ask for a better woman in my life than my mum, really. So yeah, biggest inspiration. I'm sad she's not here, man, because I think she'd be really, really digging the stuff that I've been doing, particularly in the last couple of years. You know what I mean? I think she'd be all over that. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, she's listening. She's listening now, my friend. You know what I'm saying?
Hello, Mom. We love you. We love you.
Yeah, no, we do.
And what's the best advice?
You only get one mum, and you only get one dad, and you have to love them.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Very true. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Just be true to yourself, you know, and you know, don't get too hung up on labels of what people think they are. You know, identification with things and, you know, is kind of dangerous to your individuality. So the less you can actually identify with, i.e. I'm this or I'm that, the freer you are. That's it. You know, just identify. If you're going to identify with anything, identify with love, because really, at the end of the day, that's all that's real. Is when you feel the love for an animal, or a love for a partner, or a love for something that you do in your life. You know, when you feel that and it's really real, there isn't anything else. There isn't, you know, you can have all the money in the world, man, you know what I'm saying, and be the emptiest soul, because if you're not feeling love, then you're not feeling anything. And we as human beings want to be loved, regardless. Right. We all want to be hugged at the end of the day. We're not that complicated. We want shelter, some good food, a drink, some good music, and and the big thing is that, are you loved? Are you loved? And do you love? And funny enough, I've got a song literally about that called "Live for Love." And it's a beautiful thing, man. So that's it. Just live for love, my friends.
That's right too. And of course, what do you have coming up for 2020 and beyond for us?
So obviously, Rise Like the Sun. I've got that kind of in production. That'll be sort of the next EP. I've got remixes of that. I'm not too certain whether I'm going to put some additional tracks on there because I really want to get it out as quickly as possible. So I'll be I've got an album's worth of material as well that I'm looking to record. So that's, I'll just be recording, just kind of, building my studio up. I've got to, spend a bit more money on a studio and get that really sort of up to the next level. It'll just be writing, recording, doing some online shows, doing as many interviews as I can, and just setting myself up and hopefully, as I said, we can come over next year and do some music for you guys. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be great too. And would you like to play "Stand for the Heroes" or something else before we go?
Yeah, I'd like to play "Whiskey and Honey" for you, if that's all right.
Okay, sounds great. And then for your audio listeners out there, we'll have "Stand for the Heroes" at the end of the program. But right now, before we go to Dar Ra, "Whiskey and Honey" on the Mike Wagner Show.
Have another drink. We'll take some time to think. Then we'll say goodnight. Call each other out every time that we shout. It's over now. All these loaded games that we play leave us cold with the dreams we sold. We can't do this anymore. I got my whiskey and my honey. These crimson lips don't leave me feeling so heavy. Whiskey, honey. This neon paradise. I'll drink you off my mind. Well, I'll drink you up my I hit the tables. Never dream I'll lose. Say I'm happy when I'm singing the blues. That shoot first, ask questions then. I'm this side of crazy. Welcome to the edge. I got my whiskey and honey. This crimson lips don't leave me feeling so heavy. Whiskey and honey, yeah. I'll drink you off my mind. I'll drink you off my mind. Only everything that's real out of fantasies in my mind. This battle's won, battle's lost. We'll lose that meaning in time. Never wanna stop, only wanna drop bombs on this road. I got my whiskey, honey. These crimson lips don't leave me feeling I'll drink you. I'll drink you. I got my whiskey.
Whiskey and Honey, Dar Ra Brady here on the Mike Wagner Show. Dar Ra, big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Love hearing you play. Looking forward to having you again soon. And once again, tell us what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to your music?
Right, cool. Well, you can go to Facebook and check me out on facebook.com/Kusha Deep. You can also check me out on Instagram, and that's instagram.com/Dar Ra, DAR.RA.BRADY. Or you can hit me up on Twitter, which is twitter.com/Kusha Deep again. Or just search me out, man, on Google. DAR.RA is my name. And I'm sure you'll be able to find me someplace, you know what I'm saying?
Sounds great. Once again, Dar Ra, big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to getting in soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on 2020 and beyond. You've been fantastic.
Thank you very much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed it.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.